the James, motherfucker! We all got it too, no when the dressing room got hazy now, baby. I know how you want it, child, we get tight. So the girls can't stand it when you're doing it right. Let me up on the stand and let me kick out the James. Yes, kick out the James. I have to kick them out.
All right, welcome back to Kick Out the James on 9th Floor Radio. I am DJamie, and I have a very special guest with me, President, co-founder, founder, vice president, CEO, and chairman of the board of Tankcrimes Records, Scotty Karate.
Hey, what's up, Jamie? Thanks for having me, bud.
Yeah, for sure, man. It's a pleasure. And how are you today?
Doing good.
Right on, man. So, yeah, we got some good Tankcrimes stuff planned for you today. I was thinking about the first time I met you was probably about a little over 10 years ago. You were selling some homemade T-shirts at a Cove pirate, or what was that name of that place?
Warm Water Cove.
Warm Water Cove, yeah. And I bought a Screeching Weasel shirt from you at that time.
Which wasn't a popular design at the time. I was mostly selling like anti-schism and like more like crust punk T-shirts, but I made the Screeching Weasel for me, so it was like nice to sell one.
Totally. I still have it. It was like a Billabong shirt or something on the other, like if you flipped it the other way.
Yeah, I would go like buy out the thrift stores in San Francisco and then just flip them and screen on the inside. And so they were kind of like shitty shirts, but they were only $5.
Yeah.
So
I was $5 for a Screeching Weasel shirt. Sign me up. And so is that around the time Tankcrimes started?
Yeah, that totally was about the time Tankcrimes started because that's how I was funding. Like, I could sell so many of those $5 T-shirts that I started a record label and was paying rent in San Francisco.
Oh, nice.
Off just that. But, I mean, it was a serious hustle. Like, I was out at every single show. I had an old lady cart that I'd fill.
I remember seeing you with the cart.
T-shirts in the bottom, then, like, an LP thing. Or just as it grew, like, I actually started with 1-inch buttons.
Oh,
Went
cool.
from there to the bootleg T-shirts. From there, once I started putting out 7 inches, trading records, getting bigger, adding more stuff. But yeah, I had quite the little old lady cart distro is what we called it. So
it's awesome.
And yeah, so that would have been like 2001 or 2002 maybe.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
A long time ago. And that's when I think I put out my first record, 2002, but had already been doing like the buttons and the T-shirts and shit before that. So
started with buttons, then T-shirts, and then the 7-inch. What was the first 7-inch you put out?
It was actually Deadfall, my own band.
Oh, okay.
Which I would, when people ask me about starting a label, I'm really happy that the first record I did was my own.
Yeah.
Because it was also the first band I was ever in, and so that excitement of it not just being mine because it had the label on the back, but it actually being mine. Like, there was nothing I wanted more than everybody who liked hardcore and punk to own this record or hear it or see it at a store, all right? So that initial motivation made me want to do the label. Because initially I wasn't going to do a label.
Yeah?
It was just that record.
And then was that one record, was it going to be under Tankcrimes?
No, it was actually called Controlled by Plague because our friend Bob paid for it. We actually got asked to put out a record, and we recorded and did the art and gave it to him. And then when it came, he just gave us all the records.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it was awesome. But we were like, so
That's
what?
A good deal.
Yeah, it was a sweet deal. But we're like, so what do we do? And he's like, here it is. I put out your record.
Awesome.
So I had to figure it out. I was, so then I was like taking them to stores, and we got lucky. That record got like a big Maximum Rock and Roll hand job, like big time. And so all the other little distros and stuff internationally all wanted
Everybody
like
wanted
5 to
it,
10
yeah.
copies, and that's really what I did. I traded and sold 1,100 copies, mostly like 5, 6, 10 at a time.
Awesome.
Those kind of numbers. And then I just really liked it.
Cool. And now here we are. You're on your 70th.
I think we're gonna start with my latest release, which I think is 86.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
Nice.
I mean, there's some like cassettes and stuff in there,
Yeah.
and like some, not everything. I haven't released 86 albums,
Yeah.
but 86 physical releases. Everything has
with your stamp of approval on
Yeah,
it.
exactly, exactly. My name on the back.
Right on. So yeah, we want to start out with the
let's
Shrine
start out.
here?
So, what I want to say is that now I'm having a label showcase at Gilman Street in Berkeley next month, Friday the 13th, and that's gonna have 5 Tankcrimes bands: Connoisseur, Brainoil, Born Dead, The Shrine, and Ghoul. And so
awesome.
I'll talk more about it, or I'll keep hyping it as we play all the bands. We'll get a couple in this first block. But yeah, this is my latest release, our 86th, by The Shrine from Venice, and this one's called Waiting for the War.
Right on. Here we go on Kick Out the James, Night Flow Radio.
Every night fucking school, shipping cuts and walking rules, learn to be a work on food. Na 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 yeah. Gonna have a lovely life, brand new car, kitchen wife, we're a hard to fucking start. Na 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 yeah. Gonna join the army, then with lots of guns and naked men. I ain't these will kill your brains. Na 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 yeah. Sail down the family life, down the pub every night. Be a man and beat your wife. Na 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 yeah. Now you're over, you've been pulled to burn a fucking system too. California funeral. Na 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 yeah. Now you're over, you've been pulled to burn a fucking system too. California funeral. Na 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 yeah. Na 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 yeah. Na 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 yeah. Gonna go to fucking school, shipping cuts and walking rules, learn to be a work on food. Na 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 yeah. Gonna have a lovely life, brand new car, kitchen wife, we're a hard to fucking shine. Na 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 yeah. Go and join the army, then with lots of guns and naked men. IEDs will kill your friends. Na 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 yeah. Sail down the family life, down the pub every night. Be a man and beat your wife. Na 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 yeah. Now you're old and you've been pulled to burn a fucking system too. California funeral. Na 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 yeah. Now you're old and you've been pulled to burn a fucking system too. California funeral. Na 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 yeah. 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 Gonna go to fucking school, shipping cuts and walking rules, learn to be a working fool. Na 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 yeah. Gonna have a lovely life, brand new car, kitchen wife, we're a hard to fucking shine. Na 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 yeah. Go and join the army, then with lots of guns and naked men. IEDs will kill your friends. Na 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 yeah. Now you're over, you've been pulled to burn a fucking system too. California funeral. Na 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 yeah.
All right, you're listening to Kick Out the James, 9th Floor Radio, guest DJ Scotty Karate.
Hello.
And we just listened to a Kick Out the James veteran band, Kicker, doing Not You off their album, also entitled that. And I always wondered about the artwork for that album. It's awesome. Who did that?
That's Mike Sutphin, who is a local artist now, but he's from the suburbs of Chicago, and he actually played in the band Charles Bronson
Oh, no kidding.
when he was a teenager.
Ah.
Yeah, and I met him maybe like 6 or 7 years ago when he moved out here because Miles from Kicker and Dystopia owns Monolith Press and does screen printing, and so I believe I actually made a lot of like artist and illustrator contacts through when I was working with Miles screen printing over there. But yeah, he's insane. This cover art's great. He did the Star Wars book for George Lucas where he drew every single character.
No way.
And he also now, I believe, is doing, I don't know if it's something similar like a book, but he's doing it, he's working for Marvel now.
Wow.
And doing like he actually did a Spider-Man poster, and we got him to sneak a Ghoul tag on like the wall in the like the urban area
that's
where
awesome.
like Spider-Man's like battling someone or whatever, you know. So
That rules. That's so he's got some significant street cred.
yeah,
Yeah.
big time.
Awesome. Then before that, infamous Brainoil doing their title track, and that was just reissued by you, correct?
Yeah, I did that. That album came out in like 2001 or 2002 on Life is Abuse, which is again Mouse from Kicker Dystopia Monolith's label. And when when actually the screen printing started, the business really picked up, and he's really successful over there doing it. He just found less and less time to do the label, and a lot of the bands had broken up or didn't necessarily need a repress. And he started passing off some of the more popular releases to other labels, and then we teamed up this year, and I brought over that title, the Brainoil self-titled, because I just think it's a really important record and one of my favorites locally, and then we're bringing the Dystopia catalog over to Tankcrimes. We did Human Equals Garbage this year, I guess it's last year now, which was the 20-year anniversary of that record's release. And we're going to be doing something similar with the rest of the catalog.
Oh, that's great.
And that was
I had no
really
idea.
well received. Yeah, like people were really stoked.
Yeah,
You know, like that band is definitely sustained. I mean, that's like a band that sustained an enormous fan base due to like illegal downloads and bootleg patches.
Yeah.
And like they're not mad about that at all. It's just it was time to get like stuff back in print, but like they're really into file sharing and stuff like that, and part of the catalyst for us bringing it to Tankcrimes is that it's not as easy as a Google search to get any album you want anymore.
Yeah.
So as soon as it became hard for anybody who wanted to get the Dystopia album, we had to make it easier for them to do. And so we even offer it for a free download from the Tankcrimes Bandcamp.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah,
That's
just
great.
like that, you know, so.
All right, you hear that, everybody? Free Dystopia.
Free
download.
Dystopia.
Woo. And that's cool. I'm looking forward to the other represses. Because, yeah, that's you know, you rarely see a crusty kid without a Dystopia patch on his jacket.
Yeah, you just don't.
Yeah.
That's great.
They replaced Nausea. They're like they're well, I guess they're both 90s bands, actually.
Yeah, and it just kind of depends on like which logo looks best across your shoulders, like a more graffiti style one or more of like spiky, crusty logo.
Yeah, what are you into?
Exactly.
Cool. And before that, we had Ghoul doing the song Kreeg off their 10-inch that came out for Record Store Day last year. And who are the guest vocalists?
So that's
on that?
not. So that was our Record Store Day release, which we kind of thought was like going to be like a more of a novelty release, but it ended up being really well received, and so we're going to keep it in print. But that was an instrumental EP, and then that was more. The song we played was obviously more of like the psychobilly track on the album. There's some are more surfy, and but we got on that. Those are guest vocals by R.A. McLean from Deadbolt. And then the fast verse was Tony Fresta from Municipal Waste and Iron Reagan. So kind of cool that I'd had nothing to do with that. Ghoul sorted all that out. But
nice.
that they could get a little like all-star guest highlights, you know.
I could pick out
to
Tony
do
in
the
there.
thing.
Great. And then other local awesome band, Conquest for Death, who I don't think I've ever been on Kick Out of the James yet. So thank you for bringing them here.
Yeah, cool. They just so that band is super important because they've toured like everywhere in the world. They've toured Africa, and they just booked. They're going back to Japan
And
in
Korea
in
too,
March.
right? I heard.
Yeah, I'm not sure what else they're sorting out in this tour for the Southeast Asia. You might know more than me because
Yeah,
you've been
I
hanging
think-
out with Frank. So.
Yeah, he's. I think he mentioned Korea. They might as well, I guess, since they're over there.
Their motto is anywhere, everywhere that time and finance allows, or whatever. So
Maybe they can sneak into North Korea, do a secret show. It's probably not.
Yeah, they can just like play at, you know.
That would probably be a first for any band.
But they've played. It's really cool checking out like photos like from them. They played like a metal fest in Zimbabwe, and
Oh,
they
no
played
kidding.
Botswana, and it's even just like looking at the photos of the Africa tour. It's crazy because the crowds are actually super diverse from country to country,
Yeah.
and there's not a lot of punk or hardcore there, so they were mostly playing metal shows, which is pretty
yeah.
popular there. Yeah.
Oh, no kidding. That's great. I had no idea that they were so well traveled.
Yeah, it's amazing.
All right, and then opening up that whole set was the Shrine doing "Waiting for War" off their brand new 12-inch, and which was a cover of a French band I just learned called Soggy.
Yeah,
correct?
Soggy. So check it out. And then there's actually like they actually made like a live video for that song that you can watch on YouTube, and it's just pretty cool. It's like they sound like a 70s band, but it actually came out in the early 80s, and they were just really aping that Detroit Motor City style, which
Yeah.
is the same influences that the Shrine have for the most part, it's kind of cool. And we've since gotten in touch with the singer from Soggy, who's super stoked on the cover, and just like, said YouTube videos probably getting some new hits because Shrine has a lot of fans.
Yeah,
you know.
I'm definitely gonna check out Soggy when I go home as well.
So from that set, Shrine, Ghoul, and Brainoil are all playing my Tankcrimes takeover at 924 Gilman on February 13th. So we'll make sure to play all those bands, and I'll keep plugging it.
Right on. So what do we got coming up here
So
next?
now let's bring it around. We kind of did it backwards, but we talked a lot about my friend Mouse from Kicker and Monolith Press, and also the Dystopia reissue we did. So let's bum some people out with this one's called Stress Builds Character from Human Equals Garbage.
Sounds good. You're listening to Kick Out James, Science Radio, DJ Scotty Karate. right, you're listening to Kick Out of the James on Night Flow Radio. I'm here with guest DJ Scotty Karate.
Hello.
Yo. So that was some awesome Cannabis Corpse doing Blunted at Birth. I think that's the first time they've been on Kick Out of the James, so it's an honor to have them.
Nice.
And
that's from their first album that they recorded on just a Boss 8-track. And I love it. I love that lo-fi-ness for death metal. But not all death metal fans like it. And it actually, like, inside the liner notes says, like, we recorded this in our kitchen. If you don't like it, you know, go fuck yourself or whatever.
Sounds great.
But I love it. I mean,
Yeah.
Cannabis Corpse has gone on to record 3 more albums and then gone into really nice studios and worked with great producers, and all of it's awesome. I always come back to those 8-track ones, you know, because it sounds different than all the other death metal that I hear all the time.
They captured the early 90s Florida sound for sure. Yeah.
Yes, Cannabis Corpse, approved by Cannibal Corpse.
Oh, really? Has there been... I've always thought about what Cannibal Corpse thinks.
Well, they actually contacted Cannibal Corpse before they released anything.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Because they were such huge fans, they didn't want... You know, it seems... People still call them a parody band.
Yeah.
They just parody the song titles. It's all original music. But they wanted the band to know it was out of total respect. They're not taking the piss. They're like, maybe you can see it that way, and, you know, it's like weed and death metal go hand in hand. It's a cool concept to stand out from, like, I mean, they could just be called, like, you know, killing a fetus.
Yeah.
There's, you know, and they with the exact same songs, they might not get the kind of attention they get with song titles like I Come Bud and Reefer Stashed Place.
Well, cool. That was a smart move on their behalf, I think.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, they're a pretty popular band, you know. I have their they've signed to a bigger metal label, Season of Mist, which is awesome for them. And Tankcrimes still has their back catalog. You know, I'll keep it in print and keep promoting it and stuff, and they're out touring and doing awesome stuff. So yeah, Phil from Cannabis Corpse is like the hardest working guy I know, because he's playing full time in Iron Reagan and Municipal Waste and Cannabis Corpse. And every time I talk to him, he's like, check out my power metal side project, or like, check out my grindcore tracks, like, because he's like in the van or on the bus, like, just writing lyrics into his iPhone and like tapping out you know, drum tracks and death metal tabs and stuff. So
he's living it.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. Before that, Exhumed doing the song Gravewalker, and I have a good Exhumed story, but I'll let you fill us in on what album that was off of first.
Well, so that, and then the track before it was Mini Lights by Iron Reagan, and that was a split I did last year. Iron Reagan Exhumed split 12-inch.
Yeah.
And that's been really cool, because it was like a hardcore crossover band and like a death metal band, but Exhumed actually does a couple hardcore covers on it. But just both those bands have been on an endless tour pretty much since we put it out last January, and they both are starting a tour together at the end of this month, supporting Napalm Death and Voivod.
Ooh.
And
I saw the flyer for that.
Yeah, and that's hitting, like, I mean, it's 30 dates, I think. So it's hitting, and it goes to Canada too. So it's hitting a lot.
That's no easy feat nowadays, right? Isn't it? Don't you have to pay an obscene amount of money to play in Canada?
Yeah,
nowadays?
Well, Voivod's Canadian, so they're good. But yeah, you just have to really be on top of your books. You know, like, I wouldn't recommend a hardcore band trying to legally cross the border to play a bar in a punk house or something like that. But a giant package tour like that with, you know, I'm sure Napalm and Voivod are on a bus and stuff. So somebody's getting paid to take care of all the paperwork to make sure that it's like super clean.
Yeah, no more Distort Vancouver, sadly. After all
Yeah,
that.
yeah, because I think like 6 bands have to cancel every year because the Canadian border.
Yeah.
It's really hard. I mean, you can go anywhere in the world with an American passport. It really is like the passport to the world. But if you have like a tagging offense or a drunk in public, or some things that are kind of laughed upon as misdemeanors in American culture, will get you not through the border to Canada.
Even if it was from like 15 years ago.
Yeah, they'll you know, you can do stuff in the States where you can have like things like expunged off your record or whatever if you like put in the time, the community service, pay the fines, all the stuff. Not when you get to the Canadian border.
Yeah.
They will bring up that shit you did when you were 15, 16 years old that you thought was so in the past because you went to like
that you
the
completely
alcohol
forgotten
class.
about it.
Yeah, exactly, you know.
Yeah, a buddy of mine's band, they were stopped, the whole thing, you know, dogs sniffed the van, emptied the whole van. Hours later, they made it. And he realized on his flannel, there was a giant pice of weed just stuck to his
Stuck
flannel.
to
like,
it that he
the
like
whole
rolled
time
over
in
onto
plain
it.
view, like a giant bud. So, real quick, my Exhumed story. I used to live down south, and when Grande lived down there, he worked with somebody from Exhumed. I guess they have a long list of
There's
people.
probably been like 24 members, I think,
Yeah.
at this point in that band.
Gosh, so yeah, at that time, apparently they had a side project called Pooh Swanson, and all their songs revolved around Pooh. And they had a song called The Anti-Pooh where all the members weighed themselves before and after going to the bathroom. And one of the dudes weighed more somehow. And I never got to hear Pooh Swanson. I love the name, and I hope there's some recording that will resurface later out there.
Right now, there's a kid like
Yeah.
Googling it to like make
Somebody
an
find
offer
it.
to them to like reissue it on cassette.
Somebody put it out, please.
Yeah, there's a Kickstarter campaign like starting up right now.
Cool. And before that, the Victims out of Sweden doing the song Nowhere in Time.
Yeah, Victims from Sweden. Only Swedish band I've ever worked with, but I've been friends with those guys for a long time. I booked them a show at Burnt Ramen maybe like 8-10 years ago in Richmond, and they stayed with me. And then I spent a few years working for Municipal Waste doing merch on tour and stuff like that. And they came out with us one time on a European headlining tour. They came out as support. And then we were like super buds, and then after that we ended up doing this. We ended up doing that album together a few years ago, and I think they're working on new material and trying to come back to the U.S. if not this year or later. Some of the guys, I know Andy the drummer had a kid earlier this year. He might have had 2 kids. They have a lot of like grown up punk things going on that's kept them from touring and stuff, but they're all still active and
They'll figure it out.
Hopefully they come back. They're gonna try to do West Coast and Japan in like one swing, which makes sense if you're coming from Stockholm, I think.
Giant circle.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and starting off the set was Hometown Heroes Dystopia doing Stress Build's character off of the recently reissued Human Equals Garbage by Tankcrimes.
Yeah, and you'll see more Dystopia stuff. And now we don't just have bootleg patches; we have official Dystopia merchandise. If you ever wanted to know like $1 was going back to the band when you spend $5, it's finally happening. And you can still download that for free off our site. And if you want to throw down too, it's a pay what you want, including nothing.
Nice.
Download.
Donations accepted.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Well, moving right along here, we're looking forward to hearing the next band. I've seen their name around town, and I've seen their shirts, and I've seen them on flyers, and I've yet to hear them. We got Connoisseur doing the song Pothole here on Kick Out the James, 9 Floor Radio with Scotty Karate.
Everyone is gonna die!
Listening to Kick Out the Jams Night Floor Radio with special guest DJ Scotty Karate.
Yes, hello.
All right, so that was a band that I've been wanting to hear as well. BAT, is that an acronym for something?
Nope, just BAT, but it's in all it's all caps, not an acronym.
That's what made me think it was.
Yeah.
Cool, and they have an awesome BAT logo that looks like it was drawn in '82. Maybe it was, probably not. Maybe one of their dads drew it.
It was their dad's tattoo.
Yeah. Cool. Is that their first release?
Yeah, so that's a cassette EP that we did on Tankcrimes, and they actually signed to Hell's Headbangers and are working on an album for that,
right.
which is a good label, I think, for that band.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like it fits. I mean, Hell's Headbangers has a lot of different styles of metal, but that's one of them. You know, like that. I think they fit good, like next to Midnight and stuff like that. You know.
Yeah.
Like dirty thrash, or I guess thrash is a bad word to those guys though. Like
D-beat metal, or it is filthy.
It's kind of filthy. I don't know. You know, like definitely channeling like Venom or Celtic Frost or something like that. Like before they put too much time into production, stuff like that. You know.
You can't think about it too much, or else it's gonna sound too good.
Yeah, just raw meat.
Yeah,
raw meat, raw riffs, yelling,
caveman metal,
reverb. Yeah.
All right. Before that, Toxic Holocaust doing "We Bring 'Em Hell" off the Municipal Waste Toxic Holocaust Toxic Waste split.
Toxic Waste, our best seller.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, I mean those bands are so awesome and so popular.
Yeah.
Municipal Waste and Toxic Holocaust, and
How
they
can
really
you
go
wrong?
they really go hand in hand. You know, it's an easy EP to sell because of that. Both bands are super active, always doing stuff. And then even I think for me, the reason we sell so many is because it's the same thing. Like stores and distros look at it and are like, oh,
Yeah,
these two
bands?
popular
Yeah.
bands on one inexpensive record, like we'll order some, you know. And it's just so yeah, I mean we've repressed that record like 7 or 8 times in 2 years.
I know I've seen it on a couple different. Has it been on different? No, it's been on. Has it been on different colors?
It's getting
or?
obnoxious. It's been on like 10 different color vinyls.
Okay, yeah,
so I
I
need to
think-
start. The last few represses we just did 500. We need to start repressing it in the thousands. Like it's just too many variants. Like, and it's not. I like colored vinyl a lot and do a lot of that stuff, but I don't collect like every variant. I've never like been into that. And I have some fans that do, but I don't really encourage that. I mean, I'll put a new color variant out because it's a new pressing or whatever. And kids that love collecting all that stuff, like, take nothing away from them, man. If you own 10 copies of this 12-inch, fucking thank you, you know?
I'll bet you somebody out there has cataloged the pressing info.
The music is the exact, the music and the cover and everything's the exact same on all of them. You really only need to own one copy.
Yeah.
But you should own one copy.
Awesome. And before that, Obsessor doing the song Aftershock. And so was that a cassette only thing?
The Obsessor was like a huge project where we did 4 singles and then collected them onto an LP. And we spent a lot of time like building it up and doing all this stuff. And then Brandon, who is Obsessor, it was a one-man band, had twins. So it kind of just got, you have a kid recently, so you know.
Yeah, one kid takes a lot of time. I can't imagine.
He did
twins,
too.
man.
So that project kind of got shelved, and he's since they moved to closer to his wife's family, which is, you know, smart, makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But obviously the band had to be put on the back burner. He's since assembled a band. They play some live shows, but they're just playing around upstate New York or whatever.
Hope they can make it out here someday. We were reminiscing on he was the original drummer of Municipal Waste, yeah?
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
I think he was the second drummer, but he did Waste 'Em All and and he was their drummer when they started touring.
Yeah.
No one would have seen a drummer before him outside of Richmond, though there was recordings before Brandon. But he's such a sick drummer.
He's a heavy hitter. Yeah, pounder. All right, and before that, Connoisseur doing 3 songs. Pothole, The Camper, and No Dice. And what were those songs off of?
That's off the Stoner Justice cassette EP that we did. And then they're actually working on... right, actually, it's finished. We're working on it now. The album's finished and the cover art's done. The Stoner Justice LP.
Cool.
They just expanded on it. Like, it was 5 tracks, and now I think it's 14. And remastered and stuff like that, and with new cover art. But they kind of did this EP and then expanded on it, which is just kind of cool idea. It's like a cool concept to get behind. And those guys are going out on a 50-day tour to support the album. Nice. Which is really cool. I mean, as a record label, there's nothing more I could ask for. And it's a great thing for me. Lots of time younger bands like ask me like, well, what's it take? Maybe not necessarily to put out a record on Tankcrimes, but just like, you know, what's it take? What are labels looking for?
Yeah, that's probably one of the main things.
If you'll like do a couple self-released EPs, even if it's just a cassette or digital, and start planning a 50-day US tour, you know, they did like their first tour was earlier this year after we put out the cassette, and it was like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And it was super successful. They budgeted properly. They booked it smart. They promoted well. And they did well. So now them going out, I mean, you don't really hear about tours that long anymore. Unless it's like some crazy package or something. But you certainly don't hear of like they're playing basements and garages and some bars. And maybe they'll play a couple club shows with bigger bands. But for the most part, they're going to be in basements for 2 months this summer, you know?
Those guys, it sounds like they have it together enough to where there's at least 2 people over 30 in that band who've been doing it a while.
Yeah, I think all 3 of the dudes. I'm not sure actually how old everyone is, but they're not young scrappers.
There's at least 2 band dads, you know.
Yeah, I think everyone has a job, or like everyone has funds.
Nice, yeah.
And so, which is also important.
Yeah,
but yeah, bands listening who are wondering how to get the attention of a label. Play lots of shows out of town and self-record and release a couple things. It's really it shows the effort, you know, and it gets my attention, you know, or any labels, and no label cannot pay attention to a band that'll put in that much time on the road.
That's how you make it work. Nobody's gonna know you if you only play you're the same club every month or so in your hometown.
This is just not gonna work.
Which is sad. That's been the sad fate of many a band. But
lots of good bands never worked it out. You know, it's never. Or sometimes it is just one person's fault. I mean, it's like if one guy can't do it and everything falls apart, or you kind of have to have the right little crew. And that's why, bands like this, the guys in Connoisseur have all been in other bands that have, put out a record or done some other stuff and done some touring, or maybe not, or played some local shows. But you get that experience and you start getting that feeling and being able to start a new project and know, you'd be able to put like realistic goals out in front of yourself of what you could realistically do.
I think most bands learn that lesson with like their first or second band. Like, we need to do something beyond beyond our basement, beyond the basement.
Well, now like the huge problem is that like the internet tells you that in the timeline of music and format and where it's going from here and where it's been, you know, there's, of course, anyone can record their own stuff and put it online. You can pay like $50 a year and your songs are on iTunes, you know, or something like that. But
and you got thousands of likes or something.
Yeah,
and
that
like,
really doesn't. It really doesn't transform in the real world. And I just think that some bands can get ahead of themselves, being like, we're gonna put this shit on YouTube and just wait for the fucking money to roll in. So, you know?
Other lessons to learn.
So, and Connoisseur is playing my label showcase at 924 Gilman on Friday, February 13th.
Unlucky day. Lucky, or I guess that is lucky in some cultures.
Yeah, I mean, it's lucky for, you know, like we do like punk and metal. We like evil shit, you know, like Friday the 13th is cool.
That's right.
To punks. Like we like horror movies. We like, you know, we like Unluck. We, you know, it's the Halloween that comes a few times a year without the costume, but you know, like people get a feeling from that day, you know.
It's true. Come out to the show and get killed in the pit.
Yeah, come out and die. Seriously, but just pay to get in first.
All right, so what do we got coming up next here? Are we digging deep back?
Yeah,
I
thought we'd dig deep. I mean, everything we played so far is like current bands I'm working with or bands that are doing stuff, and so when the label started, we were just doing 7 inches from local hardcore bands that we were playing with at places like Warm Water Cove, Mission Records, Burnt Ramen and stuff. And so I think this next little batch, let's just play a song or two from each of the first 5 hardcore 7 inches.
Sounds great.
And we'll start here with my band. This was the first recording I ever did. No Judgment. This is Deadfall. The song's called Comfortable Life.
All right, here we go. Deadfall on Kick Out the James, Ninth Floor Radio.
I'm wasting time for legal rich. You're wasting life as a journey. I'm trouble, right now for me. Once I'm on the front, I can be acting. I'm back down the bar, if I find the shit. Sorry with the shit, can I by myself? I'm trying while I'm home, I'm trying to fucking well. Security, I'm trying to go home. Retirement, I left for now. Every time having fun, bad time punches up the time when it's just done. God, people stop it, I know it can be worse. Right boys in, and fighting in front. Together, such a fucking liar. One coming for society. We're talking rich, so we can get all. How wonderful. That's not for me. Come on, what's up? Let me let go about. No scared, find them and fight around. It's a waste of time!
check. Yep. Barely, but yeah, that's cool. It's cool now.
All right, some STFU here for you on Kick Out the James 9 Floor Radio. And
Gotta say, R.I.P. Jeff Leppard, singer guitar player from STFU, really close friend of mine, died in a motorcycle accident a couple years ago. Still think about him all the time. It's one of the cool things about having, there's nothing cool about having one of your friends pass, but being friends with so many artists and musicians, it's kind of cool. Like, I don't just have to like I have more than just memories with Jeff. I've got a whole catalog of songs that he wrote and played, some songs that we wrote and played on together, and just stuff like that.
And he recorded like a lot of bands as well, correct?
Yeah. His studio was doing really well when he passed, and he was doing tons of local. He was kind of becoming the go-to guy for punk bands and metal bands, and yeah. So it was unfortunate, like all untimely deaths. So
I'm glad he's living on Kick Out the James at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what's important about, like if you have something to leave behind, do it, because people appreciate it no matter who you are. So if you're an artist, musician, short story writer, poet, seamstress, but create some stuff and leave it for your friends and family. It'll be really important to them one day, and hopefully important to a lot of people, and live on.
Have a page in the history books.
Absolutely,
for sure. All right, before that was Strung Up doing the song Warfucked off of their first 7-inch?
No, that was their second 7-inch, and actually after they had they did a 7-inch album and then did that EP.
Oh, cool.
And then that was crazy to realize that song's 11 years old now.
Yeah, he was saying, yelling like, 2004.
He was like, George Orwell should have named his book 2004. And it was like, shit, here we are 11 years later. Now, I mean, they could get back together. They could re-record that song and just be like, George Orwell should have named his book 2014. I mean, it doesn't work as good with that extra syllable, but still.
Yeah, I guess they could wait till 2020 or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, maybe when the syllables work right, maybe they'll reunite.
All right, and before that, Scurvy Dogs doing Relieve Yourself. And what release?
That ended up being, I think, their last EP. We did that on Tankcrimes, and they went to Europe on a tour, and like so many bands came home from Europe and just didn't really want to like play these songs together anymore. Do the thing. I might be a little wrong about that, but good band, great band. I'm still friends with all the guys. But I think that was their. I think that was the last thing they did as the Scurvy Dogs.
That was, I guess you're your own. But those when you go to Europe, especially if you're in a place where the language is different, like all you have is each other. Really, maybe
it can be hard
drive each other. Crazy.
When you just have each other and you have to like count on people, and not everybody always knows how to keep to themselves, or give not so much keep to yourself, but give others their space when you're sharing such small quarters for a long time, especially when you're in a place where they don't speak the language, or you don't speak their language.
Yeah. Can't really hide very well in the van.
No. Your headphones are only so much.
All right, and before that was Funeral Shock doing Dead Scenester. And which release of that?
So that was my third release, and that was their debut.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, which was cool, and that was cool because that was when I was just getting started. It was my third release, and the dudes in Funeral Shock had played in Spaz, Agents of Satan, and Capitalist Casualties, so it was like I don't know, it was like kind of cool. Like, it was early in the thing, you know, it was like, yeah, sure. I kind of had this all-star band. They don't sound like the other bands, but they were an awesome hardcore band. And also Jeff owns and operates 6 Weeks Records with his wife Athena, who I play in a band with, and they also gave me a lot of early on advice.
Okay,
like Jeff
cool.
gave me that like email list the first time that told me who to ask if they wanted to trade records with me, or somebody to send a review copy to, stuff like that.
And he's still going strong. I got the posthumous Holier record was put out by was it put out by 6 Weeks?
Yeah. 6 Weeks is still running strong.
Yeah,
they're doing awesome stuff.
Rad. Another solid Bay Area distro label. And before that was Case of Emergency doing Never Again. That was the first time I heard those guys.
They went on to do a couple of the guys from that band went on to do an awesome band called The Ovens, which I don't know if they got to do that much because they were moving around, but now the singer from The Ovens, Tony Molina, who played guitar in Case of Emergency, now he's doing that same style as a solo project, so he can have a rotating
right now.
Yeah, he's doing good. He's about to go out with that band Nothing. He's going to do a tour with them from the East Coast. He did a tour with Fucked Up.
Yeah, I've heard him described as Weezer punk.
Yeah, it totally reminds me of like Weezer. What he does is really cool. He does like Weezer or even like Beatles-esque songs or whatever. There's definitely like a 90s like when there was a form of rock called alternative rock. Like the words that don't mean anything right now. But that's definitely like where his influences are coming from. But the two things that make it stand out to me, and probably everyone makes it so interesting, he does like 1 minute songs. Like he's doing like a full-on pop song, but keeping it down to like 50 seconds. Like his hardcore roots, like he already knows like how long he wants a song to be. So it's pretty much like verse, chorus, solo. That's it.
Yeah, it's pretty perfect for everybody's attention span and people who grew up in the 90s, which is much like you and I and everybody else.
Yeah, totally. And then he'll throw what also makes him stand out is they'll throw like a Thin Lizzy style like harmonized lead over it, and same thing, there's only enough time for one lead before the end of the song, so it's just like boom boom boom, it like gets the point across, and he's doing really well, so that's cool. And then I like having this little like footnote, and I hope he goes on to be a fucking superstar, and that he played on my second release like guitar in a D-beat band. I mean, I think he was 17 years old when we recorded that, so
I can see him going places for sure. All right, and kicking off that set was Deadfall.
That was our first release, the first recording I ever played drums on, and it sounds kind of rudimentary to me at that point, but I also think that that's a lot of the charm, or at least I can stand by that.
For sure, we all start somewhere.
And those were our first 5 or 6, 7 inches, and none of them are currently available. I mean, we were saying you could probably, if you live in the Bay Area, you can probably find some of them in like the dollar bin at Amoeba or Rasputin. If you don't live in the Bay Area, you can maybe find a copy on Discogs if you're looking for it. But what I recently did was compiled those records into just a digital compilation on the Tankcrimes Bandcamp that I'm calling the TCHC Punk Singles Omnibus 2002 to 2005. And you can download all that. It totals out to be 33 tracks, and you can grab that for free, or if you want to kick a donation our way, it's always appreciated, but not necessary.
Sounds good. All right, we got about 20 minutes left. We want to kick off here.
Let's see if we can fit in another little like hardcore punk set, and then maybe end it up with a couple metal tracks. Let's see if we can fit all that in.
Sounds good to me.
Here's some quick little rippers. This is just happens to be one of my favorite songs that I ever released. It's only 1 minute and 7 seconds long, but it's called Aftershock, and it's from Direct Control, and it's awesome. So get ready for this little ripper.
All right, Direct Control here on Kick Out the James 9 Floor Radio.
Shock in the fucking world. I don't care, I won't be bothered.
right, some Peligro social for you on Kick Out the James, 9 Floor Radio here with Scotty Karate.
Hello.
And
I'm still here.
we're still here, still breathing for another 8 minutes. And what album was that song off of? Solo,
That was
Creo
off,
and Me?
well, I'll say it. I don't speak Spanish, so forgive me, Spanish speakers out there. That album by Peligro Social was called No Religion. If I got that one right. I'm not even going to make an attempt at the song title. But I love that album. That's one of my favorite albums that I put out. And one thing I hope people notice, if anybody who tuned in for the whole thing, some people talk to me about like the Tankcrimes sound, and I personally, I feel like we have a pretty diverse range that falls underneath punk and hardcore and metal and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
And I hope anyone who comes into checking out the label who maybe stagnates their own listening into one of those subgenres can kind of just feel around. Like, come over to my Bandcamp page. You can listen to everything, check it out, and, go from there. But I'm proud of the catalog. And that was actually, this was a good little mix of stuff that's come out over the last 10 years and just some of my favorite tracks. So,
For sure, yeah, and we've heard a variety of that on this show, I would say. And then bringing it back a little way, or about, was it 20 years ago? The one before that, Final Conflict.
Final Conflict. So that one came out in 87.
Oh, no way.
And so that was the first reissue we ever did, which was cool. And I was telling Jamie while we were listening to the song, which I think is noteworthy, when the band contacted me to re-release that album. First of all, I thought they were going to pitch a new album to me, and I was like, come on, guys. And then they were like, nah, we want you to put out our classic album. And I was like, fuck yeah. And one thing I said was, between Born Dead, Deadfall, Strung Up, Direct Control, I've already released half the riffs off that album, so might as well bring it over. And here we are. So that's another one in print, and hopefully, I think it's a timeless album. So
yeah, and it was cool to see. They played. I remember them. They played at the Metro. Yeah, pretty recently.
Yeah, they played the My Brain Squeeze Festival.
That's right, last year. Yeah, that was cool. All right, and before that, Fucked Up doing "I Wanna Be a Yank," which was a cover. Yeah.
Yeah, a cover by a band called Cardboard Brains, kind of an obscure punk band from Canada, and that was a B-side of the Year of the Dragon EP that I put out for Fucked Up earlier this year. Or last year.
Yeah.
Everything I say earlier this year, I mean 2014.
Yeah, you've had a busy year so far, I was going to say, man.
Yeah, right?
Before that, great band who have played on here before, Face the Rail, doing We Skate off their first record. And I think they finally are doing shows and playing around again. I think
they're
they had a
playing
new record.
around again. They have a new album that's awesome.
I can't wait to hear it.
It was one of my favorite. You got to check it out. It was one of my favorite releases of last year. It came out on a cool New York label called Katorga Works that mostly works with the local punk hardcore scene going on. Like, New York City's like killing it right now in punk and hardcore, and that label mostly works with local bands, if I'm not mistaken. And so I thought that Face the Rail was a cool addition to their roster. That was like a cool band for them, and I support the hell out of that band, and I love that LP that we did on Tankcrimes.
Awesome. And starting off that set was Direct Control doing Terror Shock. So we got just a few more minutes here. I think we're going to go out with a bang. But before we do, just want to say you can check out 9 Floor Radio at 9floorradio.com. You can check out my show and many other shows and all past shows of Kick Out the James. You can find us on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram and all that. And any final words before we play the crushing end tune here?
Well, I was supposed to remind you to do more station IDs, so I'm glad we got one in there before the end.
Nice.
I just want to remind people to come to my showcase at 924 Gilman on Friday, February 13th. I played a Ghoul track earlier, but that was off their instrumental EP. It wasn't really fully representative of what the band plays all the time. Their music they call splatter thrash. It's a nice blend of punk, hardcore, and thrash metal and stuff like that. So we'll turn it around and play probably their most popular song. It's definitely the one it comes on at the end of the set and everyone goes nuts every time. And then if we have time, I'll try to sneak a Municipal Waste track in there too. But check out my stuff, tankcrimes.com. Thank you, Jamie, so much for having me on and helping me spread the good word. So
for sure, man. Thanks for coming on. And again, you've been listening to Tankcrimes Showcase here on Kick Out the James with DJamie and Scotty Karate.
And here we have As Your Casket Closes by Ghoul.